Hi, welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite movies that always makes me happy, that I could watch over and over and over and over again. The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey and Matthew Broderick, to name a few, but they're the big ones. Jack Black too. So yeah. So did you want to say something, Carrie?
No, go ahead. I like to always respond to your to listen to what you have to say. And then
like and subscribe.
Oh, I do. I want to say, please smash the button, swipe to say that you've watched it. That way it helps us out. And if you can subscribe, that would be fantastic. Or any comments you might want to make. We would appreciate it. Okay, yeah. We can continue about the Cable Guy.
Okay. So I just love this movie. I think there's so many funny lines. I've seen it dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and I still laugh at different parts. And even in my everyday things that I say, like I have Cable Guy references or quotes. It's just so funny. I think Jim Carrey, actually, I feel like this is like one of his best films. I know people don't agree, but for me, it's probably my favorite movie of his. I just think he's absolutely brilliant in it, and I love the chemistry with Matthew Broderick. I think that it's so relevant right now, the movie. I thought it was relevant back then about how TV back then takes over our interactions with each other. And he actually predicted how we're going to be able to, talk to somebody in Korea, I think, or Vietnam, and watch shows at the same time. And we couldn't even do that back then. So I felt like he predicted what was going to happen. To me, it's like a documentary. So if you look back, the kids these days, looking back the way we had to watch TV, where there's like snow on TV and the cable goes out. I hope that he makes like the Wi-Fi guy or Cable Guy 2, because I think it probably won't be as good.
The YouTube dude.
Yeah, but it won't be as good, but it'd be super funny, but also again a sign of the times and how we don't interact with each other anymore. My favorite part is at the end when he kills the babysitter, and then the guy picks up a book, he starts to read, and then people start to like interact with each other. Kind of wish that would happen. I wish we could like get rid of the satellites, and we wouldn't be able to do this, but
we'll be able to do this. This is actually what he said predicted. I'm in Thailand and we're doing the show, and she's in California. So there you go. But when I was in college, I had this little book, and I used to bring it to my friend's house, and we get stoned, and I said, look at all the stuff that's going to be in the future. We're going to be able to bank in the computers. We're going to be able to do our banking on the computer. We're going to be able to order food by the computer. All this stuff, all of it's come true. And this was 1977 or 76, wow. Right? So I mean, most of these futurists, I guess you call them. I guess I don't know who wrote The Cable Guy. Actually, it doesn't really say that. Screenplay was by Lou Holtz. I don't know who's on it. So whoever he is, he was. I guess he was a fairly good futurist, but he also captured the whole. Like me, I grew up in Thailand, and we had no TV. Thank God. So guess what? We did have movies, so I did go to the movies a lot. But I also, when I was at home, I read a lot of books. Yeah. Thank God, because if I had not grown up in Thailand, I probably couldn't even read now. I would be so hooked into the TV. I would look at a book. Hell with that. But I became such a good reader when I was younger that it just stuck with me my entire life. Yeah. So. But I can see the babysitter it's horrendous. It's funny how you grew up with the cable, and I grew up with no TV at all. But when I came back to the States, we had the little rabbit ears and all that stuff. Get 3 channels, pretty much. Get what they. It's like one guy said on TV. Our society now is fragmented into all these little marketplaces. Whereas in the old days, you get 3 channels, you just watch whatever, you got 3 choices. That's it, baby. All your decisions are made for you. So this society is not a great society for like someone like me who's like ADD hyperactive. I can't, it's hard to stay focused sometimes, folks, because of all these choices I have and you have out there, right? So, I mean, I thought the cable guy really brought a lot of that up. And it was also just well, I love the straight guy. Evidently, this was a bomb at the box office.
Mhm.
It was not a hit at all. People were confused because people wanted to see Pet Detective again. And when
Yeah.
they saw Jim Carrey in this fairly dark role, they were confused. That's what that's what they said. I've seen it this is probably the third time I've seen it.
Mm.
I did not watch it when it first came out. I watched it later on probably on DVD, like Netflix or something, when I finally saw it. What year did it come out? 96. Yeah, 96. I was pretty busy doing other stuff at that time. Didn't watch a lot of movies. So yeah, later on, I think in the 2000s, I watched it, and then I watched it again over the years, and I liked it the first time I saw it. Like I said, I thought Matthew Broderick, great straight man, versus Jim Carrey's bizarre, but very needy guy, and Jim Carrey just played it pitch perfect, right?
So perfect.
The
Well,
the
one of my favorite lines is he's like, we all get lonely. He's like, yeah, but I get really lonely. And like, I feel like that sometimes actually. And I actually relate to his character
well, it's
because, because you and I watch movies, probably also because it gives us a little bit of, what's the word?
catharsis for my
Yeah,
emotions. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm a
And it's
very,
soothing.
some other actor or director or something said the same thing. I always feel that, and I know my daughter's that way too. Well, no, she's pretty much a cry, but me, I'm a very kind of an emotionalist, not very emotional person in real life, but in a movie, it can really bring out some of my emotions.
Yeah.
I'll be thinking about other things in my life, and it really will, start the floodgates, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Jim Carrey, he made another movie. Was it The Lonely? And that was Steve. No, that was Steve Martin. It was called The Lonely Guy, but it was a similar idea. But it's loneliness and people not being able to connect with it or trying to connect, and they just can't seem to do it. Maybe
Yeah.
because they're too needy.
Or they're
And
weird because he was a weird guy, trying to connect. His
right.
interactions were with television. I mean, it's honestly, you could peel away the onion on this movie. There's so many layers that we don't have time for, but
Right.
just with his character alone. But what was your favorite scene?
I don't know. I like action, so I would say the medieval, not medieval, the Middle Ages or whatever. What's the name of that place? The
Medieval times.
Medieval times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never been to one. It's funny. I stayed at the Excalibur once, and I know they had one down in Las Vegas, and I know they had it downstairs. I never went. I don't know. I should have, but I've never gone to those. But I thought that scene was pretty funny. And I know that Kevin Hart and I don't know who he took, Will Ferrell, somebody like that. He took him to the medieval game place, and they fought it out. That was pretty funny. But I don't know if he was relating it to the cable guy or not. But the whole movie, there are many scenes. I just can't say. I enjoyed the one where he pretends he's got his Jim Morrison pants on, and he's at the party and he's doing his.
I love it.
He's doing the karaoke, right?
The shirt he's wearing, I used to have that shirt. I had that shirt.
Trying to replay the old psychedelic hits and stuff, and then it was just all of it. It just worked out really well. Ben Stiller was the director, and I think this was going to say last time that about directors. It said they're kind of like the actors are kind of like the puppets. Of course, it's hard to replace Jim Carrey, but I could have seen Ben Stiller and Jack Black doing those parts.
No, wouldn't have worked.
It might not have worked, but Jack Black can be just as silly as Jim Carrey, and Ben Stiller can be as good as Matthew Broderick. I could see them as the straight man and the funny guy. But Ben Stiller directed it, and like you said, it wasn't one of his biggest hits. Zoolander was a much bigger hit, but it was also in the same vein, the parody, which that's why this week we're doing Weird Al, as he's a parody guy too. So it was
Mhm.
like, but Ben Stiller, again, another guy came from sketch comedy, came from MTV sketch comedy, had his own show, Ben Stiller show on MTV. And then this is an MTV movie. Had he directed anything before this? I'm not sure, but he's a good director. This is not the only movie he's ever done. I did Zoolander 1 and 2, and 2, I don't know, but I did laugh at 2 a lot too. So, yeah, he's a funny guy, right? Ben Stiller. So he
Yeah,
does
that's right.
he does well. He is a very talented guy. And Judd Apatow was the producer.
Mhm.
And the girlfriend is Judd Apatow's wife.
I know something. I know that. Yes. I
Yeah.
finally know something. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that, so I looked it up. That's the only reason I know these things. Is
The one thing I know.
Well, I kept looking at the movie, and like I said, I haven't seen it in quite a long time. Probably the third time I've seen it, but like in years and years and years, I really have not seen this movie. And I said, man, this looks like a Judd Apatow movie to me, right? I just had
Yeah.
that feel about it, right? So I looked it up, and sure enough, that's what it was, Judd Apatow, right? He loves to do these kind of like mischievous or like really borderline deviant comedies, but with a real heart to them, right?
Right. Has a heart.
Has a heart, there's emotional core to it that has a lot of meaning and stuff. Almost all of his movies are that way that he produces, right? So, I can see Adam Sandler playing that part too. I just said that because he was Judd Apatow's roommate at one point. So, but Jim Carrey owns the role, of course. He is the cable guy,
Definitely.
and like I said, he played it perfectly. Matthew Broderick, just a great straight man.
Yeah.
He's just is so confused, and it's through the whole movie. He doesn't know what the hell's going on half the time, which would be like most people, right?
Right. Oh yeah, that's the other thing is I am the Matthew Broderick. I make friends with crazy people all the time, and then like, oh no, what have I done?
That's George David does the same. Me, I always smell the weirdness, and I'm like, oh, which is not good because it could the person might be perfectly fine. I don't know that because I don't pursue it. No, that's true, but I hate to say it. I think maybe all of us have let that one crazy person into our life when we shouldn't have. I know that with some of my girlfriends, I make that mistake quite a bit. Guys, I'm usually easier to push off, right? The girls a little bit harder though, so I've let some crazy ones into my life. Right?
Yeah. They had their neediness.
Yeah, the neediness, but he was that character was a real pusher, right? It was anyway. It was a great film, and I don't know what else we can say about it.
Well, I will say the password scene, and that if I was to play that with my mother back 20 years ago, I'd have been horrified to have to play that game with her.
Oh, I was trying to figure out yeah, password porn.
Yeah.
Porn password, whatever they call it. That's hysterical. I said, that looks like a good game. I forgot.
I know.
That scene, right? That was funny as hell. Yeah, and George Segal in that part, that's the father. Who's actually a fairly he was very I grew up with him. He played a lot of dramatic movies in the 60s and into the 70s, and he still looked pretty good even in the 90s, right? Yeah. I think he passed away just recently, last few years. But I really liked him when I was growing up. So, he was a fairly big star, but then he had the small part. So they had a great cast, right? I mean, just across the board, almost every part had some kind of star in it,
Yeah.
And so it's amazing that it didn't do as well. But again, I think the audiences were like confused, like Matthew Broderick with Jim Carrey's character. They didn't know. This guy don't know what to think about this guy, So,
yeah, it was dark, but that's why I loved it. So actually, don't like his silly movies that much. I mean, I think Liar Liar is one of my favorite movies of his, but the other ones, I mean, Pet Detective, I know like in high school, all my friends loved that movie. I really didn't.
I watched
Dumb or Ready, he was in that. Now, who's
Yeah,
in Dumb and Dumber?
Dumber and Dumber.
Yeah,
That's, yeah, I
not
think
my
that
favorite.
was the one that really made him a star. That was done before Cable Guy. Yeah. So Dumb and Dumber and Pet Detectives, and then Cable Guy. Yeah, that
I
really
like those movies. So I'm the weird one. So it's my
Okay.
favorite movie. So yeah.
Well, I for me, even though it was given like 50% by Roasted Tomatoes, I would go into the at least 90% again.
At
Why would-
least.
At least. Why would I take 10% off? I don't know.
Yeah, why?
I
Why?
don't know.
100% for me. 100%.
Well, maybe I would take 10% off just because you're saying it's 100. We can't give it 200%.
I mean, I give it full whatever. 2 thumbs up, 100%.
Yeah, she
Love
loves
it.
the movie.
10 out of 10. 10 stars. Yeah.
Okay, so 3 out of 4, 4 out of 4. So that's a very high review. So you know, we love the Cable Guy. We love the Cable Guy, don't we folks? So I'm sure there must I think it's a cult hit now. So
Mhm.
you know, it's you know, it's like you said, you're a culty of the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
Right.
I
So
know.
anyway, okay, well, we're going to end it here tonight, folks, with the Cable Guy. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll be back next week with another review.
Mhm.